Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, my little cowbell, and of course, good evening, traders from across the globe. Thank you for tuning in. Good morning. Let me silence my own video here. We're hearing it twice. There we go. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We're going to look at some analysis this evening, and, well, I should say this afternoon, and see what it looks like for next week. I have literally had one chart that I've been worried about this week. I started posting it on Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday. That chart disturbs me, and I'd like to show that to you. So let's start with that one. Hopefully it's the first one we come to here. Let's look. Boom. Yes, it is. This chart disturbs me. I do not like what I'm seeing here. Of course, it could recover, but what happened here is about the same thing that happened here. You had 4 bars that got above the 200 bar moving average, right? You had about 4 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it just started to do the Geronimo. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, and down it's starting to go. Now, this didn't just go straight down. It had a day up, and then it went down, a couple of days up, and then continued. So that green bar doesn't say anything, except for that it's failing at this moment at the 200 bar moving average, and that's your Russell 2000. Remember that this is a risky game, and we always trade with stops. We put our stops in first before we ever get into any OMNI positions or market positions. So you should always do the same. Respect these markets. Anyway, this is the chart that's been catching my attention all week. So it's the one that I've been posting on my YouTube videos at night. Can we get back above the 200? Of course, and I'd love to see that, but that's not exactly what does happen after spending 4 bars above that average. So I thought I would bring that to your attention on Wednesday. And then look, Thursday we dropped, and Friday is today. We're still underneath. So that was a smart time for us to spot that after the 4 days of being up. And what else is out there? There's a couple of interesting charts that we should look at. Let's see. I'll just bop around and see what we've got sitting on. Oh, okay. So here, interesting and opposite, okay? Right opposite. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is well above that 200 bar moving average. Well above it. Right? Nicely. And sitting up here, building what could be a bull flag, in my opinion. Why wouldn't that be one? So exactly opposite signals coming in. One from Russell, the other from the Dow. Now, that sort of makes sense. Do you know why? Because there is a phenomenon coming up next week called holiday reversals. I know that it's not common nor customary, but if you've been hanging around me long enough, you'll recognize it is absolute. They do happen, and you've got to keep your eye out for them. So now that we're getting complete confluence in signals leading up to a holiday week, which is the end of next week, or Thursday next week is Thanksgiving, big U.S. holiday. So we tend to get these weird reversals during a holiday week. One market looks bullish as can be. The other market looks about as bearish as you'd want to see. Let's see, what was that? Let's go back. That was 17. This one looks about as bearish as you'd want to see. Interesting how the week is coming up where we expect madness and holiday reversals. And at the same time, confluence in signals. So interesting there so far, but we can look around. What else did we have here? Maybe on chart 7 there's something sitting around. Yes. Looking at the indices, you've got the Dow Jones Transportation Average, which, if you recall, spent a lot of time in this channel, gets itself above the 100 bar moving average, which it has difficulty doing once it's below. Gets above the 200 bar moving average and above this major resistance line. That was big, but it only lasted for 4 days and back down below. So slightly different look. Once again, this may still end up being a big bear flag. We won't know that until it gets back into the flag and starts going lower. For now, we're calling this red thing a channel, but it could very well be a flag. We'll keep the pole thin and not, we can't really see it for now, but anything's possible. So we've got that pole in mind just in case. Is there anything else here to look at? Not on the Dow Jones Transportation Average. See if there's anything else that we had sitting around. Oh, yes. Then I noticed something very interesting. Check this out. Netflix fans, watch this. Let's go to a weekly. And let's go to Netflix. Look at how ugly that is right there in Netflix. Big bear flag, big, huge bar. And where's it running into trouble? At the 50 bar moving average, which the street tends to keep an eye on. But look at how that average made such a dent, right? Look at how it meant something so often. So we are in a big bear flag on a weekly bar in Netflix. That's kind of ugly. These are a few of the observations that I made while I was sitting here. Let's see if there's anything on the ES on the weekly here. ES was still, still above the 200. Not at the resistance level yet. But there is a really smart looking Dow chart. Check this out. See if it's here. Yes, look at this Dow chart. This is a weekly. We are above the resistance. Nowhere else are we above the resistance anywhere else in indices, but we are in the Dow Jones on the weekly. And frankly, we're above an average that's hard to get above, which is this 50 right here. So we're above an average, we're smartly above resistance, and it's building some kind of a channel. Look at that. So something is happening on that, and this we should keep in focus as well. So for slightly longer term view, forest from the trees, I think this is your chart to pay attention to. And of course, if we want to see what the trees look like, I think we go back to a daily and look at the Russell. My opinion of U.S. indices for now. And now let's take a look and see if there have been any questions in the chat room. All right, oil. Mega How-To Man wants to know about oil. Oil is interesting here, kids. I have a level that if oil gets to, it generally makes the stock market go higher. Crude oil. That level is interesting, and I'm going to show you how this works. Blank crude chart. Let's remove the average for now. We don't care. I just want to show you something interesting on this chart that I've taken note to. Let's label it crude oil daily. And it is, let's see, on this machine, ECLZ22. All right, so for this particular machine, that'd be crude oil's label for the daily bar. This is a price that I professed when we were all the way up here in crude oil, when we were way high, over 100. I professed to people that if we could somehow get the price of crude down to 77 or lower, the stock market would go higher. Crude was here. It started to work its way lower. Boom, 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 boom. Right around the last couple of weeks in October, right? In September. September 23rd, 27th, that's when crude on the daily during that week hit 77. Okay, let's go see something. What is the date right here that the S&P bottomed? Came in around September 12th. In fact, the Dow is better for this. I think the Dow is the one that I was tracking during crude. Yes, it was. Check out the Dow. It basically, and let's just remove what's on here for now. So Nothing's confusing. The Dow, right here, on the same day that crude oil hit 77, the Dow put in a bottom, started to rally, did a retest, and exploded. When crude hit 77, so let's look at that again, and let's compare dates. Market cracks, has a little rally, crack. I profess the entire time you get crude at 77, market will start to go up. Right here, the market bottoms. Date 9:30, 9:28, 9:27. That week, the market bottoms. And we go back to where we were. Right here, crude oil, the same week crude oil hit 77, the market bottoms. Problem is, crude went up after that. And the stock market went up for a while, but once crude went up, the stock market came down. Look at how close crude got to 77 again. So let's see what happens when crude gets back there. I just proved that my projection was absolute. When crude was up here, and I said if you can get crude to hit 77, that will help. It hit 77, the stock market explodes. Well, we're almost back there again. Let's see what happens. So that's interesting. I wanted to make sure everybody kept their eye on that as well. Good tidbits, if you will, for the future. So what else can we look at? Somebody asked me about Mr. Apple. Let's go take a look at that Apple chart. We'll continue using this. Very promising looking chart, isn't it? All right, let's see if there's any average that's coming near it. We'll just use the two major ones. Of course, I use others, but we'll use the obvious ones that the street likes to use. We'll see if there's anything close. Okay, above the 200, above the 50, nearing the 2. Got no problem with that. No, we'll do another one higher. So, this is Apple. It's a daily bar. Apple daily bar. So, what you can say, larger structure now. Low gets put in. Bigger picture. Market starts to rally. Comes down. A higher low gets put in. That high low gets tested. It doesn't break. And we start to move higher now. We get above the 50 ball moving average. I have to tell you that that is interesting. That's good looking. See, this thing never got tested. I mean, it never got broken. But it's a higher low. And higher lows produce trend lines that start moving upwards, like this. We'll make it green because it's moving up, not down. So at least it's starting to move upwards a little bit and challenging maybe the 200 ball moving average. So Apple looks a bit more promising, especially because it built some kind of a flag above the 50 ball moving average, and we'll label that in case you don't know what it is. Black is 50. And the blue is 200. And just to make sure we're all on the same wavelength. Boom. Above the 50 with a flag, if you will. And then heading towards the 200. Now, last time up there, failure. Last time up there, failure. However, last time up there, the 50 and the 200 were above the market. Now, 50's below. Maybe it'll have some gusto and get through the 200. We shall see. So that's Apple. For those who wanted me to look at Apple. And if I could find my chat room, I'll see what else we have going on here. Now, gold has just put in a decent sell signal, in my opinion. You're asking about gold? I think gold has put in a decent little sell signal. Well, I mean, we're day traders, right? Well, let's go take a quick look at gold. At least I saw one last night. We didn't trade it, but I was looking at it. Oh, yeah, it sure did go down. Now, we have gold set up somewhere. It's got its own chart, as it deserves to have. Is it here? Yes. All right, so gold has its own chart. Nothing here. Omni went into a sell a couple of days ago. It's been right so far. And until Omni goes back to buying, I'll follow it down if we get fills. So gold, I would think, because the Omni is bearish for the moment, so is gold. Maybe it'll drop another few days. Maybe even head back down towards that 50-ball moving average. Who knows? It sure was a great magnet in gold all the way up. All right, it was really interesting in gold. So once it got above, maybe it wants to come back and test it. But until Omni turns bullish, I would look for selling rallies in gold. Thank you, Crypto Cat. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for your attendance and always responding and commenting. We appreciate that. So it is Friday. We've Omni blessed us with a great week trading, right? OmniX, did we not kill it this week? Shh, head down, nose to the grindstone, on to the next trade. But we, so far, so good this month. Doesn't mean we won't get destroyed next week, but so far, so good. Cat, you want to look at Cat? Now, I will admit I haven't pulled a Cat chart in so long. Let's see what happens when I pull one. You want to look at Caterpillar, huh? Still going. What a crazy chart. It's been this way for a long time. All right, so what jumps right out at me? Is there anything? Does anything just jump right out at me? I don't see any good angles. I see that one only, and then this over here. We're above that, and you had your double top. All right, so if we want to do an assessment, you just had this happen. Double top, right? And guess what worked? All right, in fact, I'm going to see how many of you have been paying attention to my videos. Let me label this guy first. This is Caterpillar Daily. Now, what's today's date? 14. Let's see if I can have some fun here for a moment. Oh, I can't remove on this chart. I'm not allowed to. Okay, let's do this. I can delete bars a specific way on this guy. Let's see what we can do. Give me a moment to see if I can clean this chart up a little bit. Traders, how many of you know me for some time now? So, what should we say when we see this? When we see a double top, we sell a double top. I hope some of you said that to yourselves at home, because watch what I add in. Here's what happens after the double top gets met. How about that? Is that not a great rule? I promise you, no one's ever put that in a book before me. They don't understand how to use them. It's so interesting how so many books are written about things that are not properly used. I promise you. Any of you ever come out to one of my Omni camps one day, and I'll show you how half the stuff in this industry is completely incorrectly written and needed somebody like me to put in ridiculous amounts of hours and ridiculous amounts of trades to figure out that what they invented started off as a good idea, but they never actually finished their thought. And most of that reason is because so many of these inventors of either indicators, formations, you name it, they ran out and wrote a book as quickly as they could. These hotshots are 24 years old, penning books. How much time have you put into testing these things if you're writing books about them, right? Me, I've spent 40 years testing this stuff. I'm not ready to write the book, but I could show people how it works. And double tops are supposed to be handled a specific way. Triple tops, triple bottoms, flags, you name it. Everything should be handled with absolute specific rules. Absolute. And so many people don't know how to do that. It's just insane. It's almost a free-floating circus with so many people. And their egos, because they know that they're right, because they went to medical school or law school or whatever school they went to. And they know they're smarter than the market. And they know that they look at something on a chart, and because they thought of it, it's got to be right, and the market's wrong. I get this all the time. You have no idea. It's just amazing how people think they're better than the markets or smarter. Very good, Dan Tipton. Thank you. Hey, Oscar, long-time follower here. Just wanted to tell you it's good to see you still charting after all these years. Always top-notch. Analysis and emotions are in, stops are out. The other way around, of course. Just figured I'd joke with you. Is there a time limit between double tops? You know, Alexander, obviously the wider the better, because the wider you have more people's eyes on them. And traders, listen, trading is not magic. Analysis is not magic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You don't want to do analysis that most of the street isn't doing, because then it becomes voodoo. You know what I'm saying? It's not magic. It doesn't work by itself. Here's how it works. Good analysts see a good mark. That good mark gets told to specific entities. Those entities program them into their algorithms for the week. Good analysts like me see them too. All of us react at the same time. It works out. It's self-fulfilling. So if you're doing analysis where no one else in the world knows it, it's not going to work. You might get lucky sometimes, but analysis isn't magical. It needs the crowd to see it in the same fashion. So I tend to look at the stuff that I know. I grew up on Wall Street. I know what they look at. I look at their stuff. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. You know what I want to do? I like to take a wheel, put it on my car, drive really fast with it. I don't care where the rubber came from, as long as it's a good tire. I don't care what the process is of getting rubber out of the jungle and turning it into a pliable chemical that can then be made into a rubberized product and called a tire. I don't care. I don't want to know. I want to know how to drive that tire. So same thing with all of this, the way the market works. If you can find stuff that works, we don't care why. You just use it. Finding out why will just give you too much information. Is there volume formative relative to a double top? So, Bill, interesting question to ask, because absolutely volume plays a big role. When volume dries up at another top, it's obviously telling you that you're probably right. But it gets tricky. And here's why you got to watch volume. I'll almost guarantee you on this double top that volume got bigger for a day, not smaller. Let's go back to what we were just looking at. It should be behind these windows here. We were on chart 17, right? I'm willing to bet you that volume got stronger on the day that you were getting above. That first day right there. Sometimes you get stronger volume on that day and then it weakens. And the reason for it, it's not new volume. It stops being ran. And you think, oh my goodness, look at all that I'm getting in. You got to watch the open interest as well as the volume. Because volume might swell there, but open interest might come in, which means a lot of people just got their stops hit. So sometimes the volume at a double top is not what you want to see. You want to see the open interest. Does that answer your question, Mr. Chapman? Volume can be misleading. Another thing that happens in volume is I could go into the futures and do 2,000 futures at a specific price, buying, but I want the market to go down because I'm about to do 5,000 options against it. And I want the market to go lower. The futures were only my hedge. The people watching see the volume go up. They don't realize I'm just getting out. I'm literally hedging and I want it to go down. So you've got to be careful there. You know what I'm saying? It's very difficult to start trading on volume spikes. It doesn't pay off many of the times. Now, here's why. If I'm at Goldman's desk and I know that we've got Morgan Stanley and they're sort of in the same positions we're in and I need to make a move, I don't want them to know I'm there. I need to be very secretive about it, right? So what you do is instead of making it simple and saying, well, if I just bail out up here, well, maybe the other company sees that. So what do? You send them a little bait. You buy a few things up there. It makes it look like you're bailing out, and then you get out with a ton of options instead, which then will be fungible towards the futures, and at expiration day, you're flat the market. There's so many ways to play this game. You've got to be careful. But I will tell you that the charts will tell you how to play this game. This week, OMNI has just given us ridiculously good trades. Now, granted, I'm hopping out fast these days. I don't stick around for huge profit objectives, nor am I double dipping where we have a trade, it works, we get back in again that same day. I'm being very conservative, and just conservative trading. OMNI's been killing this thing lately. So what does that mean? That means that the street is in sync, analysis is in sync, everything seems to be going well. It's not quite news-driven at the moment. Markets are just trading. Love when that happens, because then OMNI will just keep belting out killer after killer trades. Of course, then when news comes out of the woodwork and things get a little more crazy and politicians say things when they shouldn't and some Fed governor comes out and yaps, it starts to change the dynamic of the day itself. But in the end, the chart will always tell you what's going to happen next. You guys are around me for a reason. Tesla head and shoulders. Tesla has a lower end target, if you will. Let's go look at Tesla's target. Tesla, which of course I've been playing with lately, has some kind of lower end targets because this whole area right here, let me label Tesla for you. All right, this whole area is ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Right here, this area. Why? Well, first of all, it's part of a channel. This thing just expands up. It's part of a channel. And the top wall of that channel is beating the crap out of Tesla, right? So let's make the channel thicker because we see that that's in play at the moment. And these averages are useless, so let's get them off our picture. So we can see that this channel, which was created by the bottom, to be honest, not the top. Well, it just depends. They're exactly symmetrical. Is keeping Tesla in check. All right, so we have a abstract thing to look at, right? All right, we have a channel, a bit abstract, but it's there. You get near it, seems to be sell signal. But what's really happening is you're building bear flag after bear flag. And you're starting to build them below this last plateau. So what does that mean? Bear flag, boom, right in here. And then the market cracks. Let's just get rid of the channel for a moment. Bear flag gets built right here. And then the market dumps. So it had one little jet through, right? It had one day where it went through. I don't care about that. Every other bar hits the bottom. Every other bar hits the top. A little stop running on a certain day. No big deal. Still a very valid flag. So you've got a flag here. And then, as you can see, if you can't see, watch what happens next. We will remove the voodoo of the trend line. And what did Tesla do after that? It said, we're not done going down yet. How about another flag? And that's what it does. It does this. Builds this little weird pennant thing. right? Another bear flag gets built. And down you go inside the channel. So we expect this market to continue lower. And that is my opinion of Tesla. Oh, I forgot. I have a Tesla target. I didn't give it to you, did I? I'm sorry. Tesla's target was, I wrote it down. We were kind of up here, though. I did the target after we fell out of the flag, so it was after this day. We were around 185-ish. My target was like 163, but let's just take a look at simple support and see what that would give us. The simplest of things that you could do, not complicated, just geometry, tells us that it should get down to 164, 163. I don't think that that's the lower end projection. I think that's the closest projection. The 165 area, we'll call it. I think it's got lower to go than that, kids, because there's other channels building inside of this channel. And of course, if you go out to the weekly, it doesn't look any better. You go out to the weekly on Tesla and you've basically got a big problem. Let me show you the weekly on Tesla. This one's ugly. This is the one I was keeping my eye on, by the way. Tesla on the weekly. Here's where the problem comes in on a weekly. If you've got a real flag on the daily, it's obviously going to show up on the weekly. And weeklies, that's a bigger problem when you start getting flags on weeklies. Whatever you want to call this, it emerged itself. And some people call it the megaphone. I don't call it anything. I just call it a flag. I don't like to give it a stupid name. Some kind of flag formed where there was a steep drop these 3-4 days, then a sideways consolidation. That is a flag. And we're starting to drop. The significance behind that is we're starting to drop lower than this last low. We're supposed to not drop lower than the previous lows if we're ever going back up again. And that flag is being built below this low. So can't love Tesla. And then, of course, one last thing you can do is find out if it's got any bigger term channels on it. Is it something like this going on? And of course, there's always channels in these markets. So what you've got is that. And we'll see what happens once we best the bottom of that channel. I like to keep things simple, traders. If you try to complicate an already complicated business, I promise you, it gets more complicated. I promise. If you complicate an already complicated business, it gets more complicated. New target. So our target is the 164.66 area. That works for me, Alexander Mills. And we are at 39.70 E-mini S&P. A little relief rally. So far, so good. Nvidia. Nvidia is an interesting chart. Check this guy out. Let's go back to a daily. Nvidia. I'll bet you if we snap those averages in, Nvidia is going to look ugly, but we'll see. This thing is done with. Let's take a look at the whole chart. What you been doing lately? Extend to the right. I don't see anything to do with that average at all. That average just does nothing for us. Oh, Nvidia uses the 100, if I remember right. Somebody uses a 100. Pretty big stock. Is it Nvidia? Yes, Nvidia uses the 100. So we'll get rid of the 200. All right, so Nvidia likes the 100 bar moving average. I don't know why. I don't care why. Once again, that'd be reinventing the wheel. So I'm not going to go figure out why Nvidia reacts at the 100. I don't care, right? As long as I have a vehicle as long as I have a tire that runs. So It's got major movement around the 100. So I guess algorithms are programmed for the 100 ball moving average when it comes to Nvidia. So that's what you need to keep your eye on. And of course, you've got a channel built here. And you keep your eye on that as well. Where does it hit the most bars? It hits the most bars there. And then, of course, you can do a steeper channel and see if there's anything going on here. And just support only. So, interesting spot. Running into support. We'll make the support line green. And you're running into an average that you haven't gotten above for quite some time. Support goes green. And the average goes black. And let's keep our eye on this. You know, these are things I'm just setting up ideas for you to keep your eyes on next week and the week after. Not much we could do with it today, but you can certainly keep your eyes on this for next week, right? All right. Let's see if there's anything else you guys want to discuss. Crypto Cat, here's what I will tell you. Betting on the dollar being bullish has become, okay, you know, there's business cycles. You start a business, it starts to accelerate. At some point you reach peak, and then deceleration starts when you've gotten so big there are no customers left to get. Don't expect too much higher in dollar unless they continue to aggressively raise rates. The dollar has almost run its cycle. So if you're going to start setting up trades longer term based on dollar going up, I'd be a little bit careful. Dollar had its up move. When they stop raising rates, dollar will have its down move. Everything else will have an up move. All the other cryptos will go up instead. Excuse me. All the other currencies will go up instead. Speaking that, being that I said crypto, where is Bitcoin? As ugly as ever. I hate you, Bitcoin. Let's do a continuous just because we'll get more data. I generally stay away from continuous. All right. Oh, God, does that look terrible. Are you trying to make me feel pain, Bitcoin chart? Is that why you look like this? Look at how terrible this chart is. I'm laughing because I own so much of it. Look at this flag after flag. I mean, this one's vicious. That has to break out now. This guy's got no time left. This one has to go. This is Bitcoin, right? Let's label this nasty unstore of capital. No, it's the weekly. I'm sorry. We went out to a weekly, or are we on daily? Daily. It's daily, but it is continuous. That's why it looks so long. All right, so it just goes, okay, how would you like to see a flag before I drop? Okay, you see that flag, everyone? Now I'm going to drop. It just seems to do that everywhere. See the flag, everyone? Now I'm going to drop. And it just keeps doing it. Now this is a big flag, actually. It's just a big old flag. It just keeps getting ugly by the minute. Yuck. So let's not look at that anymore. Let's continue to not look at Bitcoin. Hey, I've got 3 years and 6 months before it hits 85,000. I'm not worried about it. Worth trading the ETF? Absolutely, Alexander. I think the ETF's great. I prefer to just buy the cash outright so that I don't have to do any rollover. I don't have to worry about statements and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It'll just sit there in my wallet. But once it gets legitimized and we get rules, I'll trade crypto as much as I trade everything else. I mine it right now. I mine crypto. I chart crypto. I own lots and lots of different cryptos. I'm just waiting for regulation so I can actually make good use of it. Yeah, I don't see why not, Big House. Do I like to chew on ice? Was I chewing on ice? I guess the answer would be yes. Hey, this is live or live with Oscar. You know that, right, people? So what I do, you do with me. It's not like I sit here by myself. I've got traders in the chat room with me 24 hours a day. They live with me. So maybe I do chew some ice. I don't know. Here's what you don't want. You don't want me to start singing, I promise. Today is Friday, right? And it's getting towards the end of the day. Oh, yes, it's 3:36 on a Friday. Thank goodness. I would play music for us, but that'll just get me in trouble. Let's take a look at what's going on out there. Everything's still, well, at least you got it up 100 tranny now, up 163 Dow. Nasdaq's been red just about the entire day. Love crude getting under 80. That is just a magical level for us. Gold sure did crack on that OMNI sell signal, huh? Gold over here. So wait a minute. That's an interesting thing. Are you saying, Cody Cox, I'm low on iron because I have a desire to chew ice, or because I have circles under my eyes? There's a difference. Because I've always had these. I was born with them. And yes, I used to be low on iron as a kid. Where are we? All right, so we've got, I don't know, till the stock market closes, 28 minutes left, somewhere around there, 22 minutes left. Chewing ice is the key, huh? Well, I do chew a lot of ice. No, I never heard that one either. That's why I was interested. But I kind of thought that's where he was going with it. I end up chewing a lot of ice. So, I take a lot of vitamins every day, too. I'm wondering if maybe you're right. I do take a lot of vitamins, though. A bit of a vitamin nut. All right, is there anything else you guys would like to take a look at before I skedaddle and go back to my normal world? If you want to look at any charts, anything of that nature, let me know. Otherwise, next week, expect holiday reversals in some markets. They get a little strange, but they are what they are. And we'll deal with them one day at a time. All right, then, traders, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you being here. If you don't mind, please like and share these. Share them around. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And maybe we can get some kind of crowd to show up, because I'll tell you right now, you get these young punks that don't know anything at all about markets, and they got 500, 2,000, 20,000 people viewing. I've got 61 of you viewing on YouTube right now. You know what I mean? Where's the disconnect here? I have no idea. Anyway, if you guys can help, I'd appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Thank you once again for tuning in. And remember, stops are in. Emotions are out. Like I'm out of here too.